Reed, thanks so much.
You bet.
Well, despite being on the receiving end of U.S. counterterrorism efforts for nearly 6 years, a new intelligence estimate due to be released in just a couple of hours says al-Qaeda is just as strong as it was at any point since 9/11. Bolstered by a resilient core of leaders, a growing army of followers, and a persistent will to attack the U.S., the estimate puts al-Qaeda squarely at the top of the list of America's enemies now and for the foreseeable future. Roger Cressy is an MSNBC terrorism analyst, and he joins us now. Roger, thanks for being with us.
Good morning, Amy.
So the U.S. appears to have accrued a lot of information about al-Qaeda and its capabilities, but how much of this intelligence can we actually act on?
Well, a national intelligence estimate is not current threat reporting. It really is a snapshot of the intelligence community's assessment of what they think the state of the threat is. So in that sense, it's not this current, oh, do we have a particular terrorist cell about to operate against us? Instead, it's an assessment of what the al-Qaeda leadership is up to, and the conclusion is very troubling, which is it has reconstituted, as you said. They now exert a degree of operational control that we have not seen since before 2001.
And with this analysis, I mean, can you read between the lines and say this essentially says it's not if but when the next attack comes? I mean, how do you read this ultimately for the average American?
So what's worrisome here is you see al-Qaeda now able to reach out to individuals or potentially to cells to exert some level of operational control. And the problem is we don't know to what extent that control is. And if there is that type of operational capability, then over the long term there is a growing potential for another attempt. That doesn't mean there's going to be a successful attack. It just means there will be another attempt. And Amy, I think what really sobered a lot of people in the terrorism community was last summer, where the airline plot in London was disrupted. That was this mass casualty, spectacular type of attempt that's a hallmark of al-Qaeda. They saw that it linked back to Pakistan in a number of ways, and that's what I think really got people worried and why you see this type of assessment coming out today.
Yeah, and part of the analysis talks about al-Qaeda forging operational connections to affiliated groups across the Middle East and Africa. What's the biggest concern there?
What you're seeing is a number of groups that heretofore were not part of al-Qaeda's broader coalition, but now have either joined formally, like the Salafist preaching in combat in North Africa, which is now renamed al-Qaeda in the Maghreb, and other groups that do not have that type of bayat or pledging allegiance to bin Laden, but still support the ideology, support the common goals, and now are willing to conduct attacks in the name of al-Qaeda, or certainly to conduct attacks that al-Qaeda would be supportive of.
All right, Roger Cressy, we appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Amy.